So it looks like my hotspot handled it through the video, but it couldn't keep handling it for whatever reason. I don't know. Anyway, so we were here. And I don't know when I lost you. Coyotes, spelled coyotes wrong. I don't know how to spell coyote, and I didn't look it up. We had a badger around here a few years ago. I didn't see it. My neighbor did. Next door neighbor did. I mean, really next door neighbor. It's the property that we bought a couple of years later. And heard it screaming, watched our chickens disappear. And so we have all these predators. Probably don't have any bears. Every once in a while, you hear stories in southern Michigan about maybe bobcats, but I know we've got, let's see squirrels. Squirrels all the time, and actually the other day saw a flying squirrel. I actually was cleaning out a nesting box, a bluebird box. It was all crammed full of stuff, and I started to clean it out, and this thing came jumping out of it and ran up the other side of the tree and just stopped there. And I went around and looked at it. It was a flying squirrel, rabbits, and of course all kinds of birds, chickadees, nuthatches, several different kinds of sparrows, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And my point is this: all of these things and more work together to make the habitat. The temperature, which is based on, and the weather, which is based on where we are in Michigan, the kind of soil, all of those things fit together to make the specific habitat of, perhaps right now, my property, which is pretty typical of southern Michigan. So that's habitat. But what's a niche? Now, on a niche, we would go the other direction. On a niche, we would go from any one of these things, let's say squirrel. So what is a squirrel's niche in this habitat? Well, it's everything the squirrel does that affects the habitat. So squirrels compete for food. Compete with what? Talked about the other day. They may compete with deer for acorns. They may compete with rabbits for whatever might happen to be on the ground. There's a pair of gray squirrels that live in a tree about, I'm going to say 30 feet, 25 to 30 feet right outside my window here. See them pretty often. And this morning I saw a rabbit during the chemistry live feed. I saw a rabbit hop through between here and that tree. So they may compete with food for each other. The gray squirrel competes with other squirrels, the red squirrel, the fox squirrels that might be around. They compete for nesting spots. Now, I'm going to guess that the pair of squirrels that are around here are making a nest out of sticks and twigs that you see up in the tree, but they may have found a hollow spot, and they may be competing with the woodpeckers for that nesting spot. Squirrels are food for predators. Squirrels, this one people don't think of very often, the nut trees, the trees like acorns, walnuts, that have the trees that have nuts. The squirrels will run around in the fall and they'll find a nut and they'll bury it. That's contrary to the cartoons, Squirrels don't take all the nuts and fill up a hollow tree with them. Squirrels run around and they do a lot of burying of nuts, and then they spend all winter trying to find where those trying to figure out where those nuts are buried, and they find some of them and some of them they don't, and the ones they don't find are planted. So squirrels plant trees. That's actually a very, very important function of squirrels. Like maple seeds, you've seen maple seeds, they fall from the tree and they have that helicopter and they come down kind of slowly. And if there's a breeze, they get blown away from the tree. Or cottonwood, it'll be cottonwood time in another month, give or take. And when there's a breeze, the cottonwood can go flying several feet, maybe hundreds of feet before it lands on the ground. But nuts just go straight down. So how is it that nut seeds don't all grow right underneath their parent? It's because the squirrels carry them off and bury them. I've got a couple of clusters of hickory trees that are probably, I'm going to guess, 15 to 25 years old on my property. And there's no mature hickory tree anywhere near close to them. Some squirrel carried some nuts and buried them. Couldn't find them. I mean, after all, the squirrel has a brain about the size of a pea. Can't remember where it put all those nuts in the fall. So they plant trees. Squirrels, how can I say this politely? Fertilize the ground. They leave their waste behind. And so many other things. And all of these things make up the niche or niche. So all of the organisms and the living and the non-living things make up the habitat for any one of these. But then any one of these, everything it does is the squirrel's niche in the forest habitat, let's say. So all of these things work together, and niche and habitat are kind of the same thing, but they're kind of not. I think it's cool, but I don't know if everybody does. All right, that's all I want to talk about today, niche and habitat. Don't sign out yet. I wanted to point out to you that you will have a worksheet due tomorrow. Please make sure you put your name on it before you take a picture. So the upper right-hand corner, please, so that I can, when I'm looking through the pictures, I don't have to close the picture to see whose it is, then open it, see what they did, then close it, see whose the next one is, then open it. I can just go through picture by picture by picture. Please save them to the biology inbox on my Google Drive. You will need to be logged in your GCS email account in order to access that. It really is kind of a nuisance if you email them to me, trying to sort through where is everybody's. Is it in the email? Is it in the drive? Is it someplace else? So please try and get them in that drive. If you want to get a head start on it, I will be opening that up this afternoon sometime, pretty soon after we're done with this. So worksheet tomorrow. That's all I have for you right now. And you guys have a good afternoon. Sorry about the spelling.